In the serene town of Strongsville, Ohio, a tragedy unfolded that would forever alter the fabric of this tight-knit community. At the heart of this calamity was Mackenzie Shirilla, a high school girl whose actions led to a catastrophic event, claiming the lives of two individuals. This story is not just a recount of those harrowing events but an exploration into the complexities of human behavior, the ramifications of our actions, and the pursuit of justice in the aftermath of unimaginable sorrow. Strongsville, known for its peaceful neighborhoods and family-oriented atmosphere, became the backdrop for a narrative that seemed incongruous with its tranquil setting. The events that transpired were not only shocking due to their severity, but also because of the young age of the individual responsible. Mackenzie Shirilla, by her own admission during the trial, executed actions that most would find unfathomable, showing a disconcerting lack of remorse for her deeds. This account seeks to navigate the intricate details of this case, adhering strictly to the facts and evidence presented during the investigation and trial. Through an objective lens, we delve into the backgrounds of those involved, the sequence of events leading up to the tragedy, and the judicial process that followed. Our aim is to present a comprehensive overview that respects the sensitivity of the subject matter while shedding light on the darker aspects of human nature. In the heart of Strongsville, Ohio, Mackenzie Shirilla grew up as the youngest child in a family that strived to nurture their children with love, care, and a good education. Born in August 2004, Mackenzie's early years were marked by the typical vibrancy and innocence of childhood. Her parents, John Shirilla and Natalie Stevens, doted on their daughter, often forgiving her youthful mischiefs and misdemeanors, a leniency that would later shape Mackenzie's perception of consequences and personal accountability. As Mackenzie transitioned into adolescence, those around her began to notice a shift in her demeanor. From a delightful child, she evolved into a demanding and capricious teenager, accustomed to having her desires met without question. Her peers and educators observed a decline in her behavior, with instances of impatience, insolence, and even aggression becoming more frequent. This change was not just confined to her social interactions but extended to her personal choices, including a troubling foray into alcohol and illicit substances. Parallel to Mackenzie's story is that of Dominic Russo, a young man born in September 2001, also in Strongsville. The fourth of 7 children, Dominic's upbringing was grounded in familial closeness and a healthy lifestyle. He excelled academically, engaged actively in sports, and nurtured ambitions of becoming a music producer, a dream supported by his enrollment in a local university's performing arts program. Dominic's life was a tapestry of ambition, talent, and community, making him a well-regarded figure among his peers. The intersection of Mackenzie and Dominic's lives began in their late teenage years, a meeting that seemed to hold the promise of youthful romance. However, the stark contrast in their characters and life choices set the stage for a complex and tumultuous relationship. Mackenzie, with her striking looks and assertive personality, managed to capture Dominic's attention, drawing him into a whirlwind relationship that would have profound implications for both their futures. The tranquility of Strongsville was shattered in the early hours of a July morning in 2022, when an incident of chilling magnitude occurred, forever altering the lives of those involved and the community at large. At the center of this tragedy was Mackenzie Shirilla, whose actions behind the wheel of a car led to a catastrophic event resulting in the loss of 2 lives, including that of her once beloved, Dominic Russo, and an unintended victim, Davin Flanagan. The fateful night began under the guise of celebration, with Mackenzie and Dominic attending a party amongst friends. The atmosphere was buoyant, filled with the laughter and camaraderie typical of youth gathering. To the casual observer, Mackenzie and Dominic appeared reconciled, their affection for each other evident as they mingled with guests, their presence marking a notable highlight of the evening. As the party wound down in the early morning hours, the decision for Mackenzie, Dominic, and Davin to leave together marked a pivotal moment. Despite slight reservations, Dominic and Davin agreed to Mackenzie's offer to drive, an action that would have dire consequences. Unbeknownst to her passengers, Mackenzie harbored a sinister intent, fueled by a concoction of alcohol and illicit substances that she had consumed surreptitiously throughout the night. Mackenzie's actions as the driver were methodical and deliberate. Surveillance footage from the area showed the vehicle initially adhering to traffic regulations, betraying no signs of the impending horror. However, as they veered onto a less traveled road, the car's speed escalated alarmingly, a clear deviation from Mackenzie's previously cautious driving. The chosen site for this tragic act was an isolated industrial area, away from prying eyes and the likelihood of intervention. Here, Mackenzie directed the vehicle at an alarming velocity toward a solid brick wall, an act of unimaginable recklessness and finality. The impact was devastating, instantly claiming the lives of Dominic and Davin, while Mackenzie, secured by her seatbelt and shielded by airbags, survived with serious injuries. The investigation that followed pieced together the harrowing sequence of events leading up to the crash. Evidence collected from the scene, including the lack of skid marks and the vehicle's trajectory, pointed to a chilling conclusion: this was no ordinary accident but a deliberate act. Further scrutiny revealed Mackenzie's troubling history of behavioral issues and substance abuse, factors that painted a complex picture of her motivations. The aftermath of the tragic crash in Strongsville initiated an exhaustive investigation, spearheaded by local law enforcement with the support of forensic experts. The scene, a grim tableau of twisted metal and shattered lives, spoke volumes, yet it was the subtle clues and painstakingly gathered evidence that would eventually piece together the narrative of that fateful night. Initial assessments of the crash site suggested a violent collision, with the car's wreckage telling a story of high velocity and direct impact. The absence of skid marks near the crash site raised immediate suspicions among investigators, suggesting that the car had been driven into the wall without any attempt to brake or swerve. This critical piece of evidence contradicted the notion of a typical traffic accident, hinting at a more sinister possibility. The investigation's early focus was on Mackenzie Shirilla, the sole survivor and the driver at the time of the crash. Her condition initially hampered direct questioning, but medical tests revealed a cocktail of alcohol and drugs in her system, substances known to impair judgment and motor skills. These findings added a layer of complexity to the case, suggesting substance-induced recklessness as a potential factor. However, as Mackenzie regained consciousness and her statements to medical personnel began to surface, the narrative took a darker turn. She confessed, in moments of lucidity, to having intentionally driven into the wall at high speed, a chilling admission that shifted the focus of the investigation from accident to intentional act. The investigators delved deeper, seeking to understand the motive behind such a drastic action. They uncovered a tumultuous relationship between Mackenzie and Dominic, marked by intense emotional turmoil and Mackenzie's increasingly erratic behavior. Friends and acquaintances painted a picture of a young woman consumed by obsession and jealousy, unable to accept the end of her relationship with Dominic. Surveillance footage from the area leading to the crash site became a pivotal piece of evidence. It showed the vehicle's calm progression through the streets before making a sudden, decisive turn towards the industrial area, aligning with Mackenzie's admission of intent. This footage, coupled with witness testimonies about Mackenzie's previous threats towards Dominic, fortified the case against her. The discovery of a prior reconnaissance trip by Mackenzie to the crash site area further compounded suspicions. Witnesses recalled seeing her car in the vicinity days before the tragedy, suggesting premeditation and planning. This piece of evidence was crucial in framing the narrative of the investigation, indicating a level of forethought and intent that went beyond a spur-of-the-moment act. As the investigation progressed, the layers of Mackenzie's actions began to unravel, revealing a disturbing plot fueled by a volatile mix of emotional instability and substance abuse. The evidence gathered painted a comprehensive picture of a young individual whose unbridled emotions and impaired judgment culminated in a tragic act of violence. The culmination of the meticulous investigation into the tragic events that unfolded in Strongsville led to the commencement of Mackenzie Shirilla's trial, a judicial process that gripped the community and all who had followed the case closely. The courtroom became the arena where the complexities of the case were laid bare, dissected under the watchful eyes of the law, the families of the victims, and a public seeking understanding and justice. Mackenzie Shirilla faced grave charges that reflected the severity of her actions: 2 counts of aggravated murder, reflecting the intentional nature of the crash that claimed the lives of Dominic Russo and Davin Flanagan. Additional charges pertain to her use and possession of controlled substances, further complicating the legal battle she was about to face. The legal proceedings unfolded with a somber air, as prosecutors presented a narrative of premeditation and reckless disregard for human life, anchored firmly in the evidence collected during the investigation. The defense faced the daunting task of humanizing Mackenzie, attempting to contextualize her actions within the framework of her troubled adolescence, substance abuse issues, and the turbulent relationship with Dominic. They argued for a nuanced understanding of her mental state, suggesting diminished capacity due to her intoxication and emotional turmoil at the time of the incident. Conversely, the prosecution methodically built a compelling case against Mackenzie, leveraging the wealth of forensic evidence, surveillance footage, and Mackenzie's own incriminating statements. They painted a picture of a deliberate act, driven by a desire for revenge against Dominic, with Davin's death a tragic collateral. The prosecution underscored the premeditation evident in Mackenzie's prior visits to the crash site and her history of threatening behavior towards Dominic. The trial saw a parade of witnesses, each contributing pieces to the complex puzzle of Mackenzie's actions and mindset. Friends and acquaintances recounted instances of Mackenzie's volatile behavior and explicit threats made towards Dominic, casting a shadow on her character and intentions. Perhaps most damning were the testimonies regarding Mackenzie's expressed desire to enact violence using a vehicle, a chilling prelude to the actual event. The emotional testimonies from the families of Dominic and Davin added a poignant layer to the proceedings, humanizing the immense loss and painting a vivid picture of the ripple effects of Mackenzie's actions. These testimonies served not only to underscore the severity of the crime but also to remind those present of the irrevocable damage inflicted on the lives of the victim's loved ones. After a tension-filled deliberation, the jury returned with a guilty verdict on all counts, a decision that resonated with a palpable sense of relief and vindication for the families of the victims, yet also with a heavy recognition of the tragic waste of young lives. The court sentenced Mackenzie to 2 consecutive sentences of 15 years for each count of aggravated murder, a decision influenced by her age at the time of the crime and the circumstances surrounding it. This sentencing meant Mackenzie would be eligible for parole after 30 years, a prospect that offered little solace to those who had suffered most. The reactions to the verdict and sentencing were mixed, with the families of Dominic and Davin expressing a measured satisfaction at the accountability imposed by the court. Conversely, Mackenzie's family and legal team voiced their intent to appeal, citing concerns over the fairness of the trial and the interpretation of Mackenzie's actions and intent. In wrapping up the story of Mackenzie Shirilla and the tragic event in Strongsville, it's crucial we take this moment to reflect on the broader themes of justice, community responsibility, and the impact of our actions. This case not only highlights the consequences of individual choices but also underscores the importance of supportive networks and intervention for our youth. Please feel free to share your thoughts on the case and its outcome in the comments below. How do you view the balance between justice and rehabilitation, especially for young offenders? If this story resonated with you and you value deep dives into true crime stories that provoke thought and discussion, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support is crucial in continuing this journey of storytelling and exploration. Thank you for your attention and thoughtful engagement.